Hi, this is Matt once again. Welcome back to another video, and this is a paid request from Movie Guy 2005. Thank you so much, man, for the amount that you've sent, your generosity. I really do appreciate it. For those interested, requesting any type of videos, reviews, re-reviews, topics, tier lists, commentaries, reactions, rankings, whatever the case, feel free to send it either directly to my PayPal. I do have a CashApp as well. Links are down below in the info box, and I will get to it as soon as I possibly can. And as the title suggests, he wanted my thoughts on what were my top 10 favorite horror sequels. Now, I know sequels get a bad rap. If they're made nowadays, there's a good point. But back then, I mean, ones that are not on the list, but ones that I do like. Elm Street 2, Freddy's Revenge, I always liked. It has some flaws. The bird going crazy and wacky. A bit wacky and weird. But I liked that. I liked Mark Patton's performance. I liked Robert Englund's performance. I liked the lines of dialogue in that movie. You've got the body. I've got the brain. Halloween 3, I always liked that one. Halloween 2 is my favorite Halloween film. I like the hospital setting. I like that Donald Pleasence and Jamie Lee Curtis actually have a scene together in the same frame. It's the only time they ever got to be in the same frame. I mean, the first film, they're technically in the same scene, but you have this or this. Either Donald Pleasence over here or Jamie Lee Curtis over... But in the same frame, Halloween 2 is the only one, so that's cool. There's other stuff I liked about it, too. The kills. Halloween 4 I like. Hellbound Hellraiser 2 I like. Hellraiser 3 I don't mind. Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 I like. And the list goes on and on and on. So to come up with a top 10 was a bit difficult. And number 10 could be kind of switched around. Like Waxwork 2 Lost in Time is a very nostalgic sequel to me. Because I like the first Waxwork, but Waxwork 2, I remember watching that over and over again as a kid because of the adventure quality. I mean, there's even a line of dialogue where the person says, "You're in God's Nintendo game." And so you have Zach Galligan and this other lady going through different periods of time, and here's your nod to Alien. Here's your nod to Dawn of the Dead. Here's your nod to The Haunting. I think it's a very imaginative and funny and quirky movie. Whether it be The Hand, killing the person's drunk dad with a hammer, whether it be the Patrick McNee is a guy that gets our two lead characters on their journey. You have the take on the Frankenstein monster, and eyeballs are being popped out, and people getting impaled with arms, and then you have the alien bit where a person gets their head crushed, and again, being a sucker of aliens, favorites of mine, it was cool to see an alien homage. The Haunting, I like that bit that was in black and white, except this one bit of blood, which is in color. Bruce Campbell has a fun bit role in that. The sword fight between Zach Galligan and Alexander Godunov, the guy in Die Hard who Reginald Vo Johnson finally shoots at the end. They have this sword fight and they're going through, like, there's Jack the Ripper and he gets hit and he's put into the world of Nosferatu, and Nosferatu is going to kill Jack the Ripper. They're fighting in the mall from Dawn of the Dead. There's a ripoff of Godzilla and they can't do, they make fun of the dubbing. No. Oh no. The big flaw of that for me is when they get to the Middle Ages portion, which is pretty much kind of the second half of the movie, or the third act. It's not the most interesting venue for me. There's some good stuff in there, don't get me wrong, but it slows down a bit because the rest of the movie was like a kind of rapid fire pace. But then it picks back up with that cool sword fight. But, so that I wanted to mention that because I really enjoy that film, despite that flaw. But I will say for number 10, I will pick Elm Street 3, Dream Warriors. I mean, you got the Dawkins song, Dream Warriors. You got the characters, Kincaid, Joey. You got some cool kills. But the guy being made to a puppet in his veins or whatever and being dragged by Freddy. That's a very cool sequence. Freddy coming out of the TV and welcome to primetime, bitch. The stop motion skeleton at the end. The big worm that tries to swallow Patricia Arquette. A lot of really cool, imaginative special effects in that movie. It was cool to see Heather Langenkamp back. Sad that she got killed, but it is what it is. I liked a lot of the new characters. I did some pretty good lines, even when Kincaid sees the guy walk and he goes, "Have a nice stroll, asshole." Robert Englund, I thought, did a really good job. It wouldn't feel right if I didn't mention Dream Warriors on a list like this. So, number 9, The Exorcist 3. It's the only Exorcist film I like. I know people like, what? You don't like the first one? No, I always thought the first one was boring. A girl jerking off with a cross or pissing her fucking pants or whatever. Well, she had no pants on, but that did nothing for me. Max von Sydow does a good job when he eventually comes into the film in the final act. But that's a film that never got me. I was never scared by it. I could appreciate some of its technical aspects, like the head turn and stuff, but it just never did anything. Exorcist 3, I like the performances of George C. Scott and Brad Dourif. Them going toe to toe, two powerhouse actors, really sold me on that film. I like that it was from a cop's perspective because that's just more intriguing to me. And then George C. Scott just commands the screen. Brad Dourif, he's one of the more underrated actors. And that has some creepy moments. One of the best jump scares in movie history was on that hallway, and it's on there for so long. You're like, what the fuck's going to happen? And then it happens. A lot of people mocked the exorcism scene. I actually liked it because they went a bit more of a bigger. I like that it went big and it went grandiose, and I was fine with it. It has a weird dream scene that Patrick Ewing, I think for some reason, is in it. I always wonder how the hell that came about. Like, how the fuck did Patrick Ewing get here? I think he was Patrick Ewing, the basketball player, I think. But Exorcist 3, again, it's the only one I like. I like the atmosphere. I think the director, who was the author of The Exorcist, I think he did a really good job with that movie. So, number 8, I know people get mad at that I like this, but Jason Goes to Hell. Jason Goes to Hell I really enjoy. I think, yeah, I mean, that is my favorite Friday the 13th film. That's my favorite Jason film. I like... It's the goriest of the Friday the 13th films. It has some fantastic special effects by TMB. I like John D. LeMay as the lead. I thought he was relatable. I thought he was very likable. I like that the director, he was a very young guy at the time, tried to invoke some style. Even a little bit where they're in a diner, they're fighting over the gun, and when it gets shot, it kind of goes almost like a POV of the bullet where it zooms in into where it shoots and it takes out the power. I like that there's a bit of action. There's the bit where John D. LeMay shoots the shit out of the guy in the jail setting actual blood squibs back when they did that kind of thing. It's like a good sequel to The Hidden. I don't mind changing up the lore because I found it entertaining. Is it perfect? No. There's a bit where there's two and one of them talks and it's a cheat because Jason never talks, even as a possessed person. The stupid shit with shaving the fucking mustache. I don't know. I know the director's, oh, I did it because people would talk to it. Yeah, they talk about how stupid it is. You don't want that either, Adam Marcus. It would have been better if you took it out, because that way people wouldn't go to that to mock your film. You give them less ammunition. You don't give them more ammunition. Like, here's a bullet. Use it on me. But I like the look of the film. I think it's well paced. It's pretty short and to the point. You got a little bit of your nudity at the beginning. You got a nice bit of nudity in the sex scene. One of the goriest deaths where the woman is turned into a damn wishbone. And I like that, hey, it's a guy trying to save his baby. Which, hell, is more motivation than other characters. That's just, I don't know what's going on until the third act. Now it's time to survive. That's pretty much what most of them are. I don't know what's going on until the third act, and oh shit, we gotta survive. So I like there's a little bit more motivation. Give me motivation. What's your motivation? And I like the ending with the Freddy Krueger glove. I think that's a really cool nod. I don't mind the look of Jason. I think it looks better than Part 8, where he had a bunch of snot, and it looked like someone pissed on his mask. It's yellow. I disagree with Stuntman Mark. He's like, well, that mask was in the bottom of the ocean. No, it wasn't. It was the guy's mask that he kept on his fucking boat. That's not the same mask. It's a different mask. It's a different mask that has the same axe mark from Part 3 at the end of that movie. So, who'd have thunk it? Anyway. I hate Jason Takes Man. I think it sucks. But I do like Jason Goes to Hell. And it's nostalgic because it was the first one I saw of that franchise. Is what introduced me to the franchise. So nostalgia plays a part of it as well. Number 7, The Collection. The Collector, I thought was a pleasant surprise. I like Josh Stewart as Arkin. I like the idea of a thief going to a house and then ultimately finds out there's a serial killer. And then it's this cat and mouse chase. There's a lot of traps. It's like if the kid from Home Alone became a serial killer. I like the traps. I like Josh Stewart's performance. And I liked that it had some style to it. I thought they did a really good job making an interesting lead. And like I said, I like the look of the killer. To me, I liked it more than Saw. Like I liked the first Saw film, the second one I could deal with, but The Collector was always more interesting to me. As a villain, as his mementos, his traps, that I don't know, having attack dogs and shotguns, and you get a bit of that action flavor from time to time. But the sequel, although the one issue I have is, for those who don't remember, in The Collector, there's this whole bit that the reason he was stealing in the first place was to get money for his wife, because she owed money. But when the sequel starts, it never mentions, well, about any of that. Did they get the money? Does she still owe money? Like, they just don't mention that at all. And that was his motivation in the first one. And it's the same writer-director, so I don't know if they forgot. That was always one of my nitpicks or issues with the film. But other than that, it did what a sequel is supposed to do. And honestly, now that I think about it, it uses a template of this movie, Aliens. I mean, a person has gone through an ordeal. He has gotten out of it. Her, the cryo sleep 57 years. Here, he escapes. Then he's in a hospital bed. He just doesn't have a dream of a fucking chest burster or anything. Then he's kind of, hey, come with us, come back with us. It seems like there's some trouble. Goes back with a team who's more heavily armed, helps someone, kind of like Ripley helped Newt. I like the Collector's hideout. I like the idea that he took people and turned them into like these drug-crazed, mindless drones. I like the traps in that. I thought Joss Stewart did a great job. I like the girl who they're trying to get, who's supposed to be the daughter of this rich guy. I think it's Shooter McGavin. Christopher Madonna, I think. It's his daughter. I like that the ending, it ended it on the best note. That's why we don't need a Collector 3. I know there's been talks of it. Thankfully, that's all it's been. It's been very silent. Good. You don't need a Collector 3. Just the sequel, the second film, was the perfect ending. And you rarely get that. Rarely. Trust me, I've seen a lot. You either did a stupid downbeat ending, sequel bait ending. No, that's the perfect ending. The collection. The use of music. There's this piece of music when she sees that Arkin had helped her and she goes in to help him and is crashing all these displays that have liquid water in it to douse the fires, and the music is rising up. Arkin beats the shit out of the Collector and throws his ass down the fucking vent. Sets everything on fire. Some very satisfying bits in that. It's a good sequel. Number 6, Tremors 2 Aftershocks. It's a film that I've always enjoyed ever since I was a kid. I have the Arrow video release, which is a cool release. And it's a film I've always liked, I've always enjoyed. I always thought was a solid sequel. I think with a few tune-ups here and there, it could have been a theatrical film. Fred Ward does a wonderful job once again. Michael Gross as well. I don't mind the new people. I mean, the new guy's not Kevin Bacon, but I thought he did fine. I love the addition of the Shriekers that walk on land and they see the heat of people's bodies. I think the music is very catchy. I think, the practical effects are very well done. The other bits is a bit wonky, but it is a film that eventually did go direct to video, and it was the 90s. So I'm giving a little bit of leniency, but there's a good chunk of practical as well. The humor is still funny. I think you got to see even more of Michael Gross's character. I think the Burt Gummer that became the Burt in the sequels of the TV show was really more established here. He was introduced in the first film and he was good in that, but he really got the Burt Gummer that became the star of the rest of the franchise. I think Fred Ward, may he rest in peace, he was great in it. But yeah, I always enjoyed Tremors 2. I thought it was a fun sequel. This tastes like toilet paper. That is the toilet paper. There's a lot of little funny bits throughout the film between the characters. Likeable characters. Again, the Shrieker aspect I thought was a cool, different direction for the franchise. You still got your graboid action, but to add a bit of new. I thought it was a nice addition. What's funny about this movie, I always think about when I was in school. Kids at school, they never cared for movies unless it was an Adam Sandler film or something like that. And it was hard to talk movies with people because of that. That was my passion, that's what I wanted to talk about, and no one else wanted to talk about it. I remember one time it was in middle school, actually, where I love Tremors. It's one of my favorites. They're making a sequel. I'm excited. I saw it on I forget what VHS tape they did, a trailer. I'm excited to talk about it in school. And they're like, oh yeah, there's a Tremors 2? Oh, really? Is there will be a Tremors 3? Is there will be a Tremors 4? I'm like, well, actually, there's going to be a shitload more than that. There's going to be also a 5 and a 6. Was there a 7? I know there was a 5. Yeah, there was a 7 because there was 2 with Jamie Kennedy, and then there's one with the Napoleon Dynamite guy. So there was 7. Because, yeah, Tremors 3, Burt Gummer, The Ass Blasters. Tremors 4 was the prequel in the Wild West. Tremors 5, I think it was Africa, and you had Jamie Kennedy introduced. 6, I think it was In the Snow, I think. And that also had, because like Michael Gross's character got like some disease, virus or something. So he didn't get to do a whole lot. And then Tremors 7 was Shrieker Island or something. It was an island. And then they kill a Burt Gummer for some reason. And again, the guy from Napoleon Dynamite, can't believe I forgot his name. He was John Heater. He was the. So it's funny, they didn't bring Jamie Kennedy back. It's not even that Jamie Kennedy said no. I don't think he did. Unless maybe they wanted to pay him no money. He's like, well, screw it, fine. Good luck. That might have been the case. They wanted to pay him a lot less money. It's like, okay, well, I did 2 films for you. Alright. But yeah. So actually, there'd be 7 movies and a TV show and a pilot that has never been seen. The Kevin Bacon one. Which I'd be curious to see out of curiosity, but... Anyway, Tremors 2 is a lot of fun. Number 5, Nightmare on Elm Street 4, The Dream Master. It's always been my favorite Elm Street film. It's been one of my favorite films. I watched that film a lot back in the day. I love Rennie Harlin's style. I liked him as a director, whether it be Cliffhanger, The Adventures of Ford Fairlane, Prison, Mindhunters, Long Kiss Goodnight, Deep Blue Sea. I liked a lot of his movies. Die Hard 2. I love the style of the film. Yeah, it's such that they kill off the Dream Warriors and rather quickly. I'll give you that. Just like I didn't like them killing off Heather Langenkamp, but I didn't like how they treated John Saxon in the 3rd film, where he's now just a drunk and a loser, and he just gets killed pretty easily. He was just thrown and impaled. But anyway, I love Lisa Wilcox though. She's my favorite character in the franchise because I really related to Alice. Because I was also a shy, introverted, kept in my shell, bubble in school. Once I was in school, I kept to myself. I was quiet. I didn't talk to anybody because they weren't really interested in stuff I wanted to talk about. And I was just very in my shell like this and would daydream a lot, just like Alice did. And so I lived vicariously through her, and you see her being more sure of herself, escaping out of her shell, out of her bubble, becoming more assertive, becoming more of an individual, not hating herself. When she took all those pictures down, she could actually see herself fully. And one of my favorite scenes of all time, the Deer Up scene, which that's a classic 80s staple. When Ripley deers up in Aliens, when she goes to save Newt, Rambo deers up, Arnold deers up in Commando, Stallone in Rambo First Blood Part 2. That's always a cool bit. Evil Dead 2, and you get the groovy. And then Alice does it here. And I love the music. When I had an intro on the channel, which people wonder, why did you get rid of it? Because I would have constant barrage of people say, why do you have an intro? Cut out the intro. They just fast forward through it. So when you hear that 18 times in the span of a couple months, okay. Plus you assume, people just fast forward through it anyway. Well, it should be 30 seconds. Well, I don't know how to do it in 30 seconds and be worth the shit. So, anyway. But I love that scene. I love that music. I wish there was a way to have that music cleaned up. Like, perfectly cleaned up. I mean, I tried to put it in, like, AI type of thing. I tried, but you just still, like, either, like, the sound, guitar is still a bit not the right pitch. Because you're trying to take the sound effects out. It just, I don't know. Some people do covers, but they're not the same. But anyway. But yeah, I love the care. I love the imagination. The cockroach scene where it's very grisly. I would say it's my favorite death in the whole franchise. The woman getting her face sucked, when a sucked face. The Yeah, the karate stuff. It's invisible. Yeah, I get it. There's really nothing to it. Him fighting an invisible guy. I get there's not much to it. It never really bothered me. I don't know why. It just never bothered me like it did others. Maybe because there was so other imaginative. If all the deaths were that, okay. But yeah, I liked a lot of the just the imagination, the energy that the film had, the soundtrack, the lead character. Just I liked the combination of it all. It was a very fun, high spirited sequel to me. Even the poster, I love the poster, which will probably be the poster for the thumbnail. Number four, Evil Dead 2, Dead by Dawn. What more can be said? Take the first Evil Dead and pump it up. Because the very beginning acts like a remake, kind of, but then you can see where it becomes a sequel, where you have the same POV going through the cabin, hitting Ash, but then he flies back and then he hits the tree and he's possessed for a bit, and that's when the sequel comes in. Because apparently they couldn't use the footage from the first Evil Dead. But then Nicotero said that they tried to refilm it with other, like, the other characters that were in Evil Dead 1, but for some reason they didn't use that. I don't know. Because Sam Raimi didn't remember it, but Great Nicotero did. Anyway. But yeah, the Bruce Campbell, I think, really came into his own in the sequel. It became much more zany and goofy, but fun and weird and wild. Your girlfriend who's headless coming at you with a chainsaw while you put her head in a vice. The whole bits with him in the cabin and all the trinkets and furniture laughing at him, to him cutting off his hand and the hand fighting him, and like all the crazy stuff that happens with that. And of course, you have that deer up scene. You have the great line, groovy. Other great lines, swallow this. Him deering up and becoming an action hero. Having a chainsaw for a hand. How badass is that? Fighting the Henrietta and cutting the arms off, and the swing and cutting the head off, and then shooting the head off, blowing it up. Which is what I wanted to see more in Army of Darkness. It's one of my few issues with Army of Darkness, which is funny because I saw that movie first before this, but now that I saw this, I'm like, why couldn't we have... There's the one scene where he gets the chainsaw in the pit. We wanted to see more of that. We want to see more of him. It's the fucking poster. The fucking poster is him with the chainsaw hand. He should have put that on in the final battle. Either his metal hand gets screwed up, and, well, there's one thing to do, and like the Army of Darkness are pounding on the barn or whatever, and he's deering up. It could be like a redo of the deer up in part 2. Although they did that with the making the hand. They come in and they see he revs his chainsaw, says a badass line, and just goes to town, cutting the bones, and some of them have flesh on it, and that would have been badass. But anyway, Evil Dead 2. I didn't mind some of the tears like Dan Hicks. Bobby Joe, where are your girl? It was the camera work, the style of the film, just all the ways they moved the camera. Evil Dead 2, just a very, again, energetic, pumped up sequel, which happened a lot in the 80s. You get a sequel and it's more highfalutin energy. Number 3, very nostalgic, Watchers 2. Because I don't know what it is. Because I know, I would guarantee, a lot of people will watch something like Watchers 2 and go, "Man, what's the big deal?" I think that's the type of movie that just hit at the right moment when I was a kid. It's like when you hear directors talk about, they see this film, whether John Carpenter or someone, they saw this film and either on at the movie theater or TV screen, and it's some 50s movie, might even be a film you never even heard of, but they still remember it with a certain sense of fondness in their voice. And a film like Watchers 2 is the case for me because it came out in 1990. I liked the first Watchers. It's sad for whatever the reason they can't find the elements, whatever the case. I do have a, well, it's not official Blu-ray of Watchers 1. But because there was, you can find HD versions of however they did, and it looked good. So I'll just keep that as I'm looking at it right now. But anyway, I like the first one with Corey Haim. So I was already, wow, there's a second one, and oh, it's Mark Senior, the Beastmaster, which I actually like this more than the Beastmaster. And it just, I liked the lead guy. I liked the bits with him and the dog. I thought the dog, I liked the way they trained it. The humor stuck with me. I thought it was funny. Some of the bits here and there between him and the dog. The monster design is, I had not seen the movie The Terror Within, so I didn't know this was just the same director just took and ripped off the design he had in The Terror Within. But the monster was there. It's not the best looking monster, but it's a guy in a practical suit, which I'm a sucker for. Kind of an old school, monster movie. Likes to fuck up people's eyeballs. I like, was it Tracy Scoggins? I liked her in it. I like the music, the score. I just hit all the right elements of that just old classic monster movie. I mean, by the end, Mark Sainer gears up with I guess I really like the whole gear up thing. I don't know why. You don't really see that much anymore. And he gets in the sewers, he got the guns, and hunting the creature, and that one nasty bit where he gets cut and he's clawed in the back, and at the end of the film, he's fighting the creature, stabs it with a knife, shotguns the shit out of it. I don't know, just sometimes it's the simple things. Straightforward story. I've read the novel Watchers, and I don't like it. I thought the movies were much more entertaining than the book. Just like the book, I don't know, the book was just not that exciting. It wasn't that thrilling. And I can see why they didn't follow the damn book. Because of that. And it's really trying to make you feel sorry for the monster and all this other stuff it's trying to do and understand the whatever. I'm not looking for a fucking deep thesis on the human condition. I'm not. I'm looking for an entertaining time. Watchers 1 and 2, Damien. Watchers 3 I could watch for what it is. Rest in peace, Wayne Hauser. But that's why I was so surprised that Scream Factory got Watchers 2. Because I was always wanting to see that in a better quality. And I was able to. I'm like, oh shit. That's why I'm so, like, that's one of my favorite releases they did. It's bare bones, sadly, but I'm like, wow, they actually got this film. Now get the Carnosaur sequels. Carnosaur 2, Carnosaur 3. Come on, let's go. If you have to put the first one in there, fine. I won't watch it, but I'll watch the other two. But yeah, Watchers 2 I was a sucker for. Number 2, Dawn of the Dead, because technically it's a sequel. But to Night of the Living Dead, technically, But I love Dawn of the Dead. You know, the more I thought about it, that's probably my favorite film from the 70s. Just between that and Jaws. What I love about that film, I love just the music, the adventure aspect. Yeah, I like the gore, even though the blood is too red. It, to me, it fit with the comic book feel to it. And I like the other part, the bite scenes, the way the zombies look. It never bothered me. I love the setting in the mall. I love all the gunplay. I like the character, especially Tien Foray. Tien Foray is a badass. I like his buddy, who just a bit too cocky, and then gets bitten for it. It's definitely got a message about materialism and consumerism. But I just thought it was like wow, they got a lot for a little bit of money. Because you have all the chaos at the news station, and then on their journey to the mall where they see like all these extras and rednecks trying to shoot things and shoot zombies and the military, and I'm like, how the hell did they get all this? Just because they really like George Romero. And the bits with the mall, just the idea of living in a mall just seemed like a fun idea, and how they do that and having to wipe out the zombies and the humor. I like the humor. I think a lot of the humor is actually rather funny. I like the camaraderie of the four. I would say Galen Ross have found the weakness of the four, but I could deal with her. And I don't know, I mean, Tom Savini. I see you, Chocolate Man, whoever the hell he's called, Ken Foray. The bikers coming in, the one that tries to do the blood pressure and gets killed, and the arm is still in the blood pressure thing. Ken Foray's a badass, you know, he kills a lot of zombies, kills a lot of fucking bikers. The ending, I remember seeing it. I don't remember how old I was. I had the VHS tape, and I'm like, oh no, he's going to kill himself. This is the bit with Tim Foray. He's got the gun to him. I'm like, oh no, man. And then he does this, and he just fires, and he punches and hits the zombie, and you have that almost wannabe John Wayne music. He's punching and kicking, and he's escaping, and this is a helicopter. Okay, it goes off into, not right the sunset, but somewhere. I love that. I loved that because I'm like, it's going so well. And there are times I've seen movies that they just shit the bed at the end. I'm like, oh man. Just the original Dawn of the Dead, everybody was supposed to die. He was going to shoot himself. Galen Ross, I just was going to put her head in the helicopter blade. Because at the beginning, the head that gets blown up by Wooly. Wooly's going ape shit. Wooly! The head that blows up, that was a reworked prop of Galen Ross's head. Is again, she was supposed to put her head in the helicopter blade, which is a bit weird because her character is pregnant. But I guess George Romero was like, you know what? Let's just not do that. It's just not that film. Just Night of the Living Dead, the original, was very downbeat. He's like, you know what? This isn't that film. And I think he made the right decision. So I really don't think Dawn of the Dead would be as prominent if it had that ending. I just don't. Yeah, there'd be people that liked it. Don't get me wrong, but I would not have. I honestly, if it had that ending, I would have hated the movie. I would go, this ruined the movie. So I'm glad they changed it. So now it's one of my favorites. And number one, I know it's a cheat because people would not necessarily call these horror films. But if I didn't put them on there, my brain would be yelling at me. Aliens and Predator 2. Because people would argue they're not horror films, they're action films, they're sci-fi films. especially Predator 2, people say, oh, that's a sci-fi action film. Aliens is an action film. So yeah, like if I had an action list, this would be on there. Those two. But at the same time, Alien still has a chest burster coming out of people's chests, and xenomorphs that have acid for blood. A person dies with getting acid on their face. A guy with an android ripped apart. The bit with Hicks going up and seeing all the xenomorphs in the vents. The whole bit with the face hugger trying to get Newt and Ripley. I would say even more so, like Predator 2 doesn't really have scenes where it's trying to be scary, but there's gore. I mean, it's still about an alien hunting people to skin them and impaling them with spears or having neck guns that go into their flesh. That's kind of horrific. You know, it's a little bit horrific, but I wouldn't. My brain would bother me if I didn't mention them. And Aliens and Predator 2, I put them on the same way just to have more actual horror sequels on the list. I've talked about Aliens and I've talked about Predator 2 countless times. What more can I say? They are two of my favorite films of all time. The characters, the action, the title creatures, the whole shebang. Those are two films I could watch anytime and not get bored by it. Again, I talked about them countless times on the channel. So, and this is already 40 minutes long, so Aliens, Predator 2, after that, Dawn of the Dead, Watchers 2, Evil Dead 2, Elm Street 4, Tremors 2, The Collection, Jason Goes to Hell, Exorcist 3, and Nightmare on Elm Street 3, Nightmare on Elm Street Part 3, The Dream Warriors. With that said, thanks for watching, take care, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye for now.